Every chancellor deals with death, but dealing with violent death is in a category all of its own, particularly if it happens on your own campus. So we've got a year of remembrance. I'm very happy to tell you that there will be an April 30th remembrance on campus and off campus. We're working with the Charlotte Symphony, which will be joined by UNC Charlotte musicians, dancers, theater performers, and our artists to do a memorial concert at Blumenthal, which will be conducted by Christopher Warren Green. So we're working on that. Lynn Connor, who is our chair of our theater department, is the artistic person, director, if you will, pulling that program together.
Chancellor, your 15th year will arguably be different from the last 14 years because of events that have happened. Why was it important for you to stay for this school year?
I couldn't walk away from honoring our victims. And in case people want to know, what role did April 30th play in this decision? Almost no role. We really had made that decision the day our twin grandsons were born. But if I needed reaffirmation of that decision, April 30th was it, but I needed to be here this year. We talked about it. It was important to be here. And working almost every week with the family still, and will throughout this year.
Have you thought about how that shooting might impact your legacy here?
No, I don't think it affects me any more than the way I told our campus. We have to be defined by the way we responded to it, not by the shooting. And I think, as near as I can tell, we responded very well. We're doing the after-action review, the external review. I'm sure we'll learn something about what happened the day of the shooting and afterwards. But in terms of the way in which the campus community pulled together and the way the community at large circled around and embraced UNC Charlotte, I don't think we could have imagined any better.
What do you feel
Go ahead.
Staying on this line, looking at security, do you feel good about where security is and how people help international students and their parents and around the country feel about UNC in terms of safety?
Yeah, I think I'm going to defer the questions about security and safety until closer to the beginning of the fall semester, but we did issue a statement about that just recently, which I could refer you to, and I think no one should feel any differently about UNC Charlotte moving forward. We have had a safe campus and a safe community, but as I said, it's pretty hard on any university campus to stop a determined assailant. It just, as long as you're going to have an open campus, you're going to have that risk, and we will as well.
This had to be something you wouldn't have worried about 20 years ago?
Well, as I said, with Matthew Shepard and all of the shootings that have occurred across the country, violence, unfortunately, is part of our lives. And I think the best you can do is to make sure you've put the assets in to minimize the risk to the extent that you can. But you can't eliminate it to zero. And I think we've been transparent about that. I think most chancellors and presidents would be as well.
Chancellor, what would you specifically do in retirement?
Well, I'll probably Lisa has often said she doesn't know what I will do when I'm not in charge of something. But I anticipate having a very active consulting role in higher education. The year immediately following my retirement, normally a chancellor would go on sabbatical to prepare for going back into teaching and research, but I don't intend to do that. So I will be available to President Roper and the Board of Governors or anyone who's in that position to do whatever they want me to do. We will have a gaggle of new chancellors in the UNC system who will need guidance and mentoring, and there may be other projects. If the future chancellor here during that year wants me to play any role, I will, but I intend to basically be in Georgia, out of sight, out of mind. One of the things that we worked through as part of our conversation about Charlotte was, do we really want to be around when the next chancellor, he or she, comes on board? And ultimately, I concluded with Lisa that it would be a good idea to get out of town. My predecessor, Jim Woodward, stayed, of course, and Jim has been a fantastic chancellor to have in residence in the Charlotte region. But he's very unique. He always held his opinion to himself. If he ever had anything he thought that I didn't, he didn't even say it to me. He always kept it to himself. I'm not that good. If I have an opinion about something, I'll say it, and I don't want to do anything that would undermine the ability of the next chancellor to be successful. So we will largely be in Georgia.
Chancellor, since you got here to UNC Charlotte campus and everything, to now leading it, I mean, how crazy is it just everything that's been done and how much the school has changed? What do you think about all of it?
It's been fun. I mean, it is. Jim often said this is the best job in higher education, and it's absolutely true. When I came to Charlotte in 2005, and Jim encouraged me to get in the search, I looked at this place and I said, "You can't screw this up." Given the growth of the Charlotte region, there were things to be done. There was no question, but this was going to be a great job and has been. I think one of the things we're most proud of is that we've expanded the reach and the visibility of the university in the region. If you look at our student profiles, they're much stronger than they were 14 years ago in terms of the incoming academic characteristics. They continue to be a very diverse student body coming in. About 40% of our new students are first-generation college students, which I think is important. I'm a first-generation college student, and higher education changed my life. So I feel very, very good about where we are. And, I think the challenge of the next few years is to see how that growth to 35,000 and maybe beyond goes. We can't continue to grow the way we've been growing, though, without capital facilities. And we got the science building as a result of the bond measure in 2016. And that was the first major building it'll open in 2021. The last major building that opened on this campus for academics was the EPIC building back in 2009. So you can't go that long and still continue to grow. So the challenge for the next chancellor is going to be, how do you get those capital facilities, and also how do you expand our online presence for education, because that's just a way that many non-traditional students will want to go to school, as they already do. So, sir. Terry.
You mentioned earlier that had some reservations about football coming to Charlotte. What were those reservations, and where is that changing?
Money. It was really the same answer Jim Woodward had when he looked at it, which was, given all the many challenges on our campus, how in the world could we possibly afford football? Now, the one thing changed was we grew. And with enrollment and the ability to charge a football fee to students, which the students not only accepted but endorsed at the time, when you have that kind of larger student body, you can afford things that you can't when you're small. And so we were able to do that through the combination of the student fee, but also the support from the alumni as well, because our donor base had expanded and grown, and we were able to do some things that we weren't able to do when Jim was the chancellor. And the growth has funded other things as well. That new rec center up there, basically because our student body had grown, we were able to build that building without charging students any additional debt service money. So they're walking in January to a $66 million building that they're not going to have to pay any more debt service fee for. So growth has meant everything to this campus. It helped us survive the recession. It's made possible the expansion of all the facilities and football as well. I will not miss going to football games. I go, it's always enjoyable, particularly when you have school pride on the line. But the idea of having 6 Saturdays that are back being my own when I can go play golf is pretty attractive. But we'll be there this year. We'll be cheering on Will and the team. And, of course, we've got our Ron Sanchez and the basketball team and Kara Consuegra. And I think we've got new coaches in tennis, softball, baseball. We'll be here this year to support all of those coaches and see them be successful. How much will come back to the campus after retirement remains to be seen. We'll just wait and take that as it comes. Other questions? No, not really. It's been a fantastic ride. this is going to be kind of a long and emotional year for us, I'm pretty sure, judging from the last couple of days. When I left Wyoming, I gave the Board of Trustees 3 months' notice, and I often commented that it was almost 2 months and 29 days too much notice. But that was a unique circumstance there, and I think here this will be a nice sort of lap around the track to thank all the people who made this possible and to give the trustees and the Board of Governors and the President a chance to find the best possible candidate to be the 5th Chancellor. This is going to be, I believe, one of the top jobs in higher education, and I would include it up against the search at Chapel Hill and at East Carolina and Fayetteville State. This is going to be one of the most prized jobs in the country because this institution is in such good shape and we're in such a dynamic region that will continue to grow. And that's why you say to someone, you can come in and you can build this institution to 35,000 students and maybe more. That's going to give people an excitement about coming to a place like UNC Charlotte that will serve us well in the long term. And I'll do whatever I'm asked to support that person, but I honestly believe the best thing I can do is get out of the way.
Anybody else?
Thank you all. We appreciate your time, appreciate your coverage of UNC Charlotte, and remember it is UNC Charlotte. So